But even as I proceed, I have not forgotten that there is another book, that there is the battle between Elijah and the gods of Baal. Today, we have erected unto ourselves gods of Baal. I go to many churches, and there is the prosperity gospel. The gospel that tells us that the church is a casino, where depending on how much you pay as a tithe or givings, then you'll get blessing. That is not the God that I worship. And if there was such a God, I would refuse to worship such a God. The God that I worship and the Christ that I follow, I remember on that day when an old woman had given the smallest contribution, he said, that woman has given the most, because there was sacrificial giving. We must now interrogate our Christianity, because Paul says, I would want you to be like the Christians of Berea. Because the Christians of Berea, once you'd preach to them, they would go to the gospel and ask, are you preaching the right thing, or you are preaching make good gospel? I'm submitting to us that at critical moments in history there has always been a choice, and this is what Elijah is confronting the people with. He says, for how long shall you waver between two opinions? If God is God, worship God. And if Baal is God, worship Baal. I'm submitting to you that the time for choice is now. If material things are the things you want to worship, if you think that having Lamborghini, if you think like having Ferrari and all these other goodies is the right thing, then you can go on. But the last time I checked, greed is insatiable. It's like drinking salty water. The more you drink, the more you want. So choose you now. You Christians and Africans shall come to the white men who are present in this room shortly. I'm submitting to us, and there is a preacher that I love for only one thing. Or sometimes I think he go overboard on his love for Israel. John Hagee. And he says one thing that I love: the uncompromising message of Jesus Christ. It is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So that there is no question of humoring you in the church. It is telling you as it is. And I'm saying that even as we are waiting for heaven, and heaven will come in the fullness of time, in the intervening period we must eat. In the intervening period we must go to school. In the intervening period we must make Africa great. And we can make Africa great. What pains me most is when I see young men dying in the Mediterranean Sea. You know, a long time ago, they took Africans to Europe and Caribbean a long time ago, and they were wailing and kicking. And I've seen the dramatization of Alex Haley's Roots, and I've seen how in Roots a young man is taken from the Gambia, Kunta Kinte. And I've seen how Kunta Kinte refuses to change his name. And they call him Toby, but he says, I'm Kunta Kinte. Ultimately, for strategic reasons, he accepts the name Toby. But he retains Kunta Kinte throughout the ages. And 200 years later, Alex Haley is able to trace his roots. But today, young Africans are going to Europe willingly to be enslaved. Is slavery by another name, because you are paying wages, you are paid wages that can barely keep you alive. I'm submitting to you who are here. Africa is the land of action.